like to give you an update on the auto bailout legislation going through Congress now. Yesterday, the House voted on this bill and it passed rather easily. It's a $15 billion transfer of funds from one authorization to another. But the Senate has not finished on this, and they're working on it today. And if the House has to vote on another version of this bill, it won't happen until next week. But I did get to make a couple comments on the House floor yesterday, but hardly enough time to really explain my position on this. Obviously, I'm opposed to all bailouts, and there are some that are worse than others. But I've described this whole debate this past week as more like a charade going on, because we're not really authorizing any new funds. There had already been authorized funds for the car companies to retool, something we shouldn't have been doing, but the money has already been authorized, so it's a mere transfer of funds. I even said on the House floor that I don't know why they're making as big a deal of this as they are, because they probably could have gotten a unanimous consent agreement and transferred these funds. But I think what's going on is a lot of people like to go down there and talk about it and show how much they care about the auto industry, and others would like to beef up their conservative credentials and they want to talk about how bad it is. But even the Federal Reserve have tools. They have unlimited tools for what they're doing. They could have worked it out to extend $15 billion worth of credit to these car companies because they abuse the rules. But quite frankly, I think they have the authority to do it. But nevertheless, we've been going through this. But I think what is also happening is that this serves as a distraction. We deal with and talk about and labor over this. This has been in the news constantly for the last 10 days or more. At the same time, they never even talk about these tens of trillions of dollars that have been promised. And these trillions of dollars come from the Federal Reserve, and there's no accountability. They don't answer to us. They don't have to answer to us. And that's where, you know, the real big fraud is going on. And yet this bill, although it went through rather quickly yesterday, still is going to have difficulty in the Senate. Probably one of the most offending portions of the bill was this establishing a car czar, that the Congress is going to pick somebody to run these companies and tell these companies what to do and what to build. And if you think the car companies have been inept in making their decisions, you can imagine what it's going to be like if the politicians and the bureaucrats get involved in trying to run an automobile company. But this is part of the process. Once taxpayers' money get involved and the politicians are involved, they want to have a lot to say about what is going on. But probably the saddest part of all this has been the steady erosion of the principles of and the belief and conviction that free markets can work. It is now a cliche on the House floor to say, well, you guys, pointing to people like me and say, yeah, we allowed the free market to operate, and look at what's happened. But what's going on, though, and it's been going on for 6 months, is a systematic nationalization of all our industries. When you think about it, look, they've nationalized mortgages, insurance companies, the banking industry. They're in the process of nationalizing medical care, and now they want to nationalize the car industry. And a point I made in my little speech on the House floor was at least Harry Truman was a little more honest about it. He just went out and flat out nationalized the steel industry. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. Under the circumstances today, though, this is sort of subtle. It's sort of a stealth operation. And because of the panic and the fear going on, everybody's capitulating. But really, the sad part is the begging of the industrialists, the begging of the leaders of this automobile industry coming and begging to be taken over. Of course, what they're begging and pleading for is to protect their retirement accounts. And of course, unions are begging and pleading to protect wages that are most likely way above the market. So there are some powerful special interests behind programs like this. And at this moment, we don't know when this legislation will be finally passed. But my prediction is, regardless of what happens now or even next week, the automobile industry will be bailed out. I cannot see how this Congress that is so determined to inflate and spend and deficits finance and interfere and nationalize, that desire is so strong that there's no way they're going to just allow these companies to go broke. And that, of course, will be a panacea for a week or two or a month or two, but ultimately it'll be just contributing to our problem of bankruptcy, the bankruptcy of this country, and ultimately the destruction of our currency. So although they claim that we have only deflation to worry about, ultimately what we have to worry about is inflation, because you can't create trillions of dollars of new money and credit and bail out everybody and run up the deficit. I've been predicting for quite a few years that we would soon have $1 trillion debt in 1 year, deficit in 1 year, and that's what we're going to have. We're on our road to over $1 trillion of deficit this year, which means that the pressure will be on the dollar. When the dollar goes down, interest rates will go up, prices will go up, and the economy won't be stimulated. We have beefed up and bailed out the financial companies here in the last 6 months. From here on out, with the new administration, I expect the cash flow to go to the individuals. And when people have cash in their pockets and cash to spend, then you have price inflation. So I think we're about to shift toward a lot of price inflation. And that with the further depreciation and devaluation of the dollar, you can't escape a lot more inflation. But the true threat, of course, is the threat to our liberties. Once we embark on a course like this where government takes over everything, even though we don't call it socialism or nationalism or whatever, and we just call it a bridge loan, the problems are still there. It's the threat to our liberties that we should be most concerned about.